welcome back to Imola Auto between myself and Mo. It's good to have you back. Today we're actually doing a review on Mo's VW 2016 Scirocco. Now, the reason for this review is to basically give you an idea of ownership of an entry-level sports coupe. Mo's had this vehicle since new. It's been an absolute darling for him. It's treated him really, really well. But in turn, he's also treated it better than anybody I've ever actually seen. Now, this particular vehicle has actually already covered more than 100,000 kilometers by now. And I just want to take you through some of the facts and the points about this particular vehicle because the condition of the car is absolutely magnificent. We'll do a bit of a walk around. We'll have a look at the interior of the vehicle. We'll talk about some key factors in regards to the ownership, maybe getting some service costs, things like tires, maintenance, that kind of thing. Also, and most importantly, we'll take you for a quick drive as well, just to give you an idea of the enjoyment that he's had from the Scirocco over the last 3 years or so, in fact 4 years. So again, welcome, and of course don't forget to subscribe to the channel once you're done reviewing, and at the same time, if there's something that you'd like us to see review, or if you have anything special that you'd like to feature, please let us know. The contact details will be featured later on at the end of the video. Thank you. So a little bit about Scirocco for those of you guys that are looking for something that's entry-level sports coupe. Like I say, you're in the market for a second-hand car and you're kind of sort of deliberating as to what to buy. Scirocco has been in production since 2008 or late 2008 up to 2009, and production stopped just a couple of years ago in 2017. There was a facelift that happened at the end of 2014, so this happens to be the facelift model. This is the most particular vehicle, of course. And with that, you got the Bison headlights, or Bison headlamps, sorry, plus LED daytime running lamps. You had slightly redesigned bumpers on the front end of the vehicle as well as the rear. And also there was an engine upgrade. So the platform, of course, based on the Golf 5, generated from a 2-litre turbo 4-cylinder, 260 brake horsepower up to about 2014, 2015. This particular model is running as standard at 276 horsepower, or for those of you that can't quite calculate that, it's 195 kilowatts, which is quite a good power unit from this particular size of vehicle. And the chassis, make no mistake, can actually handle the power brilliantly. Now, it is linked to the front wheels, of course. That performance is not a 4-wheel drive, although this is the R version, but it does have the optional DSG 6-speed gearbox, which again, in terms of smoothness and in terms of power delivery, it manages that power or the uptake of that power really, really well. Now, as I mentioned, this has been Mo's vehicle from new. It was bought from a main dealer, a VW main dealer out here, and since ownership, I can tell you, nothing's actually gone wrong with this vehicle apart from a few fuses in the windows for both the driver and the passenger's side. And as long as the vehicle has been serviced, which is had according to its intervals, which is every 15,000 kilometers, tire changes, pads and brakes. Okay, so with the R, of course for Scirocco, you can see slightly flared bumpers. That's the design typical for the R, slightly more muscular. You can see, as per the facelift, the redesigned rear lamps, and of course the tailpipes as a singular on either side of the rear of the vehicle. It's got a really, really nice stance. And not many people realize just how actually small the Scirocco is. Bearing in mind it is based on the Golf 5 platform, it should share the same sort of proportions in terms of length and width. But the design of the vehicle does suggest it to be very much the theme of the pocket rocket, so to say. Let's have a look at the interior, because that's one thing I really wanted to show you, simply because of the amount of mileage this car has covered. You will be quite astonished, I think, and you might be able to appreciate what I'm saying just by having a quick visual of literally how well kept it is. So follow me to the driver's side and let's have a look. Hey guys, so now that we're on the interior of the Scirocco, this is what I really wanted to highlight, because I'm a car fan, of course. We're enthusiasts, both myself and Mo, and it's not about really bigging up his car, so to say. It's really to show you how well you can actually keep a car. or how well built a certain vehicle can be. Now, specifically, this has done just under 115,000 kilometers, so it's done a fair bit of mileage. And bearing in mind where we currently live, you know, this is not an ideal place in terms of conditions for a vehicle because of the heat, because of the dust, because of the extreme weather conditions, and of course it's out here in the desert. So, you know, it's, as I say, it's not ideal for any vehicle. But the fact that it still looks the way that it does, I mean, if you have a look at the seating, have a look at the leathers on both my side and the passenger side, if you can actually see it, the door sills, the panels, everything has been so beautifully built by VW back at that time when it was built for this particular model itself. Everything still feels tight, it still feels robust, it still feels and looks almost brand new. And I can tell you that there's not been a single rattle every time I've been in this vehicle, not a single creak, and nothing has actually even broken off or seems out of place. From the door handle to this little bit here where my finger is moving around right now, to the lid for the cup holders, there's no marking on the gear stick. The screen's still intact. The steering itself, this is a great sign of a vehicle that's well kept. You don't see any blemishes, you don't see any cracks, you don't see any sort of fade at all. And that for me is just, you know, I commend him for looking after the vehicle so well. It's and it drives just as well. It still ticks over super smoothly. It still generates the performance that you'd expect from the time that it was actually driven out from the showroom for the first time. The gearbox still behaves like a DSG should. It still manages to give you literally everything you expect. And again, you know, it's just a really, really nice place to be. The R, of course, is very well equipped with this design steering wheel. Of course, we talked about the gearbox already. You do have rear view cameras, parking sensors for both the front and the rear. You've got satellite navigation. You've got a good Bluetooth system in the car. You've got a decent sound system. And all this, again, in a package which has the chassis to allow you to have some fun. It's a great drive, you know, it's damped really well, it handles really, really well. In terms of the way the vehicle behaves, especially on high swooping corners or bends, you know, okay, fine, we can't really tell you the type of speeds that we've gone up to in this vehicle because, well, for legality purposes, but what I can say is that this car chassis does handle for you to be as brutal as you like, and it's so forgiving. This is what actually made it such a good car, and in fact it was rated Car of the Year back in 2008 by Top Gear magazine, I believe, when it was launched. And you know, it's a shame that there's not going to be a successor, but I think that because there's not going to be a successor once production stopped in 2017, this now is going to become like the likes of the old Scirocco or the Corrado, if anybody knows what that is. You know, it's going to become something that's going to be quite sought after, I would say. And for something like this one in this condition, yeah, I would definitely consider it. I don't know any other vehicle that has the balance of economy, performance, build quality, style, and something that can actually put a smile on your face on a day-to-day basis, as well as look after you, as well as this little Scirocco. It's brilliant for me. Let's go for a drive. Just a quick 5 minutes, just to give you an idea from Mo how he still feels about this car. Hey guys, so there's Mo just in front of me. He's going to talk you through some of the aspects of ownership. Let's actually start with warranty, dude. Go for it.
Okay, so VW offers a 4-year warranty. I've got a 5-year extended warranty because I just so happened to purchase the car on a particular deal that offered the extra year. Haven't had any warranty issues. The car's been running really well. There were just 2 issues with the windows, driver's and passenger side, but being a frameless door, you would expect that issue because the windows are moving up and down so much. And yeah, that's about it for warranty.
What about the service costs?
Okay, so VW does offer a 45,000 kilometer service pack, or 3 years, whichever comes first. The service intervals are around 15,000 kilometers, so it's not the best service pack that's offered in the market, but you would get 3 services free.
What's the cost of the servicing since it's now beyond the service pack point?
Okay, so your general services, which are your oil, filter changes, little small things like that, brake checks, engine checks where they do
Like your safety checks?
yes, safety checks. They're just this sort of standard issue servicing. That's probably about in the region of 100 to 150 pounds, or about 700-800 dirhams, where we're at right now. It's based on region, and major services would involve so that comes in at about 60,000 kilometers, and that would involve discs, changing the discs and the brake pads as well. So and a timing belt. So that comes in at around probably just under 1,000 pounds, or about 5,000 dirhams in the area.
Right, I see. Okay. What about tire wear, tire costs, so to say?
Okay, so like you've mentioned earlier, we've had 3 tires on here. We've had the original Continental Sport Contact. Those were amazing. They gave me grip for the longest time, and they gave me about 35 to around 40,000 kilometers of usage.
Yeah.
The Michelin Pilot Sport, I think it was the Pilot's Super Sports, yeah. Those gave the best grip, but for a very short while. Grip started to run away after around 16,000 Ks. But they gave me about also around 40,000 kilometers of tire life.
Okay.
And then the Pirelli P0s, also not as grippy as the Michelins, but almost there. I mean, I think it would take a race driver to kind of understand the minute differences between those two tires, but also around 40,000 kilometers of tire life.
Okay, cool. Let's move on to performance in a sec. Okay, Mo, yeah, performance. Tell me about the car as it was stock, and tell me what you've done to your particular vehicle.
Okay, so you know what, I think this is just a little go-kart. It's fantastic to drive. It's got grip when you need it all of the time. It's there. It is front wheel drive, so you might get a little bit of understeer, but you can sort that out with a little bit of lift off, and you'll get back into a bit of oversteer, or the car will correct itself and you'll be able to keep a nice tight line. You can also left foot brake to sort out or to correct your understeer. It only understeers though in very extreme cornering, or when you come in way too hard, but otherwise it just handles like a dream. It goes really well in a straight line. We have then tuned the car as well, so it's got a stage 1 tune done by MRC, and it's bumped up the performance to 300 horsepower and 400 newton meters of torque. So I think the stock figures were 276 horsepower and 350 newton meters of torque, so you do feel a bit of a difference, especially at the higher gears. From 3, 4 and 5, that's when you really get more out of a stage 1 tune. It doesn't have the best launch control system, being a front wheel drive. When the tires are new, it seems to be okay, but once you get a bit of life into these soft compound tires and the grip goes away, then you will struggle with launch.
Hey guys, so we're in manual mode in sport at the moment in the Scirocco R. Of course, as you know, it has been tuned slightly. Let's just see what it can actually do. As you can see, judging from that sort of acceleration and just how crisp those upshifts are, still super stable. I feel like it's still a lot of fun. And I feel like, oh wow, look at those those downshifts are crazy. They are.
That was a keto, guys.
You know, it still does what it needs to do. And again, getting back to my point, if you're in the market for something that's sporty, fun, safe, relatively economical, and okay-ish to run in terms of costs, considering that this will give you 300 odd horsepower and from 0 to 100 kilometers in less than 6 seconds or so with the tune that Mo's done, I love it. It's fantastic. How does it make you feel still?
Well, yeah, you can see the smile on my face. So I think that's what it's meant to do, isn't it? It's meant to give you a giggle. Like I said, it's very go-kartish in the way it feels, and it's amazing, you know, on the corners, and it's just as good on a straight line. So yeah, well done, Scirocco R.
Let's just do one more burst of acceleration, just for my own pleasure, if that's okay. Yeah, that's okay, guys. That concludes our short review of the Scirocco R. Thanks again for watching. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. If you'd like us to review something, or if you have a particular vehicle which you feel is pretty special, pretty sentimental to you, and you'd like us to review that vehicle, have a look at the details below for contact, or in order to contact us. There should be an email and a telephone number there, just as it should appear on the screen right now. And stay tuned, watch this space, and let's see what else comes up next. Take care.